live. I got you. Let me. Damn. Shit. Barber theory study. Come on, man. Next. Copy. At the stage. What's up, boss man? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hang on. Let me get this volume up. Yeah, perfect. All right. I'm trying to get, so they added new destinations on StreamYard. So I'm trying to get my Instagram hopping. But it's, all right, it's saying that. Why won't it let me go live? Oh, man. Yeah. I did that. Let me try it again. Hang on. Let me see something. Instagram had to be the weird one, man. Ah, man, they ain't gonna let me do what I need to do, man. It's some bullshit. I gotta test it the next time. Anyway, all right. So today is Tuesday, so we're gonna talk about hair care services. And let me pull this up. So far, what do we remember? That we
I
were talking
remember
about.
how many sections is on the test, which is 9.
That's for the theory or the practical?
That's for the practical.
Okay. How many for the theory? How many sections?
4.
You are correct. Can you name those 4, sir?
Some scientific concepts.
Yep.
Freaking. Freaking
Hair care services.
Yeah, hair care services. And
Okay. Facial hair and skin services.
Facial hair and skin services.
And then implements, tools, and equipment.
That's on implement tools and equipment.
Yep. All right. So we're gonna go over the points of contact first, and then we'll just find a particular topic to get into today. All right. So you got 5 points of contact with hair care services. It's 40% of your test. And part A is client consultation, analysis, and documentation for hair care services. All right. B is hair care itself, applying knowledge of draping, shampooing, conditioning, scalp treatments, and scalp massage and manipulation. So out of those, shampoo and conditioning are a big thing. C, you got hair design, applying knowledge of principles, procedures, and safety of haircutting, shape and outline and neck shave, safety of hair styling. So you got safety of haircutting, safety of hair styling, hair enhancement options. You really don't see too much about that, so that's low percentage. D, applied knowledge of prep, procedures, and safety for head shaving. That's the prep of it, the safety of it, and the procedure. So facial hair and skincare services got a little bit of shaving too, but hair care services got the other part of shaving. All right. E, apply knowledge of principles, procedures, and safety for chemical services. So understanding preliminary tests, that is predisposition strand tests, hair coloring, hair lightening, foiling, chemical hair relaxing, restructuring, curl reduction, and chemical waving texture process. All right. So out of that, we are going to talk about.
Oh, my fault. No, I was fixing my audio.
Okay. So let me
I will ask, would you be able to bring it up on the screen? Cause I ain't got the paper on me right now. I'm driving at the moment, but I can
Oh,
go through that.
well, we won't have to. We won't
Oh,
have to.
okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to
Uh,
follow along with you while you
yeah, I
continue.
got you. Well, basically, I'm just gonna pick a topic out of here. So I'm looking for something. Actually, we'll go chronologically. So let's see if we can talk about assessment. So you got part A, client consultation analysis, documentation for haircare services. So let's see if we can't find assessments. So no, let's see. Scout. Let's do it this way. If I ask you right now, what's your definition of scalp analysis? What would you tell me?
Um, to thoroughly look at the scalp to make sure there's no cut, no open wounds, scabs.
Good. Good. All right. Okay. All right. So here we go. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, right?
Okay.
All right. So if somebody comes in and they sit down in your chair, actually, you know what? If you approach somebody out in the world and let's say you handed them a flyer or you handed them a business card or you're doing something to let them know that you cut hair and you'll be available for it, right? What do
Yeah.
you think? What's up, man? I ain't talk to him. Huh? Yeah, just call him, I guess. Okay. So you could be doing a scalp analysis while you're talking to them. So let's say you go to a basketball game, right? You take some flyers with you and you handing them out. Each person that you handing them out to, you can be doing a scalp analysis right then and there, right? Because let's say they're already getting familiar with you. Excuse me, you're already getting familiar with them. They're already getting familiar with you, right?
Okay.
So let's say that they take your flyer and they come in and they do business with you. All right, you've already started the process of getting familiar with them, and a scalp analysis is a big part of that. Okay, let me get back here. Okay, so am I freezing? Okay, can you still hear me? Because sometimes my mic been going in and out, and
Yeah,
I've
I
been
can
having.
hear you.
All right, cool. Okay. Always begin the analysis with checking the scalp first, since any disorders or conditions found there could prohibit a service from being performed. So when anything, any condition or reason for you not to do a service, do you remember the term we call that? It starts with a C.
Mm,
It's called a contraindication.
a contraindication.
Yeah, a
Uh,
contraindication. That's all that means. Just a big old word that just says, all right, anything that might stop me from doing a service.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm at the part. Contraindication.
Don't worry, we'll go over this so many times that you won't. You'll know it, man. You'll know it. It'll be second nature. All right. When analyzing the scalp, you comb through the hair gently while parting it to check for hypertrophies, abrasions, and parasites. Do not scrape the scalp. So that's after somebody that came in and they sit down in your chair, right? The first thing you do is check for abrasions, contraindications. Like I said, you're looking for anything that might stop service, but also while you're doing that, you're trying to figure out, all right, well, you're learning other information too. What kind of hair they got, what direction of the hair stream is it going in? You're learning things about their posture, how do they sit, all this stuff. All of this is the time to establish a rapport and an understanding with your client. Because if you got somebody that leans off like this the time. It looks like all you're doing is a scalp analysis, but that's not the only thing you're doing. This the time to tell them, hey, look, man, I need you to sit up straight. Hey, I need you not to. If they got their head like this, hey, man, I need you to hold your head up. If look at if they're looking at their phones all the time, there's the time to talk to them about it. Hey, look, man, either put the phone up or hold it higher so I can do what I need to do. All of that stuff is happening while you're doing the scalp analysis too. So you're collecting all this information and you're establishing a sense of being familiar with them and they're doing the same thing for you. All of this stuff is happening with the scalp analysis. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Number one, of course, do not begin any service if parasites are present. 2, do not proceed with chemical services if there are signs of irritation or abrasions. Now, if somebody gets in touch with you and say, since you're going to be a master barber, you'll be able to do color and stuff like that. You'll be able to do chemical services. So if somebody gets in touch with you and say, hey, do you do color? You say yes, but you also say what? What do they have to do?
I guess not have no abrasives in their scalps.
Okay, so how do you find that out? If somebody calls you on the phone and says, hey, I want to set up a chemical service, what do you need to tell them so you can figure all this out?
I'm able to do it and I'm just going off what I think. The check, ask them to check to see if they scalp is like good for chemicals to be in it, as far as like I said, no cuts and that.
Right. And you're correct. Let me ask you like this. So let's say I'm a customer. I say, hey, man, I heard you do color like you do blonde. And you say, yeah, I do blonde, or I do color, or I do chemical service. And I say, all right, well, can I set an appointment for Thursday at 2:00? What are you going to say to me?
Yes. No.
What you got to do before that?
I don't even know.
You got to come in for a consultation.
Okay.
Because I need to see everything going on with your head. I have not seen your head. I do not know if you got cuts, abrasions. I don't know if you got any problems. I don't know if your hair fell out from you doing previous color. I don't know none of this information. I got to see you first. Sense. Yeah, I got to see you first, especially if you knew. But even with some of my clients that get this all the time, I might tell them, hey, have you been doing anything with your hair? Have you been doing this? Have you started any new medications? All of that stuff affects your hair. If you are a smoker of any sort, right? That affects your hair. If you have high blood pressure, or if you have, low blood pressure for that matter, if you got different again, if your doctor puts you on a new medication, that's the type of thing that we need to know, especially if we're doing chemical services. Okay. All right. Hypertrophy, such as moles or warts, require extreme care when combing through the hair to avoid catching the comb on these abnormal skin growths. If you see changes in a hypertrophy, I think it's hypertrophy. It might be hypertrophy. I'll find out the official pronunciation. Listen, man, if nothing else, man, I will tear up a pronunciation in this month. I will be the first to tell you, I will fuck up a pronunciation in this bit. Okay, just know that. All right,
I got you.
But basically, we talking about warts, skin warts, things like that. All right. And you might not think about it at first, but consider what we're doing. We're cutting hair, so we're using instruments that cut. So you need to know about this stuff, right? Funny enough, like say if I'm cutting this right here, I got one right here. So if I had hair growing right here, and you go over my little wart right there with some trimmers, that mug gonna bleed bad. So your client ain't gonna tell you about this. Guess when you find all this out? When you're doing your analysis. So it's not just a scalp analysis, a face analysis too, because you're gonna be cutting all of this, right? You need to know about the face too, especially and if they got a beard. Guess what? So we was talking about when you're doing the scalp analysis. If they got a mass of hair right here, then you got to part it off and look at the skin beneath it, right? Well, okay, if you got somebody and they got this big ass Rick Ross beard, guess what else you got to do when you're doing the analysis? You got to part that beard off. Part that beard off. Part it off. Part it off. Part it off. Because you're checking for everything. Matter of fact, when you do your practical, when you're doing the haircutting section, that's the first thing they want to watch for you to. That's the first thing they expect you to do before you start cutting hair. They want you to do a scalp analysis. So if you got 40 minutes to do a scalp, if you got 40 minutes in your practical to do a haircut, take at least 2 to 3 minutes to do a scalp analysis, or at least enough time to show them that you know to do this scalp analysis before you start any service. But we'll go over more of that later. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we're going to talk about hair analysis and hair texture, and then we're going to be out of here. All right. Observe and consider hair texture, density, porosity, and elasticity when performing a hair analysis. Basically just going along more of what I said, right? Like you're not just checking for skin abrasions, you're not just checking for contraindications, you're looking for these things too. Okay. Hair texture refers to the degree of coarseness or fineness of individual hair strands, which may vary on different parts of the head. Hair texture is measured by the diameter of the hair strand and is classified as coarse, medium, or fine. Typically, when you are cutting somebody's beard, have you noticed that the texture is different from the beard, the hair on the face, than the hair on the scalp?
Yeah, the facial hair be more fine, might be more straight, like
100%. 100%.
Unless you got that peasy mustache.
Yeah. But even then, I can't think of anybody that the hair on the scalp matched the hair on their beard, that it was the same. I've usually seen different texture, and not to say that I haven't seen certain patches might be a little bit more dense or something like that, but I've never seen somebody's beard is exactly the same texture as the hair on their scalp.
I had a little joke to throw in there because I was gonna say, well, how would you feel about Anthony Hamilton's?
I'll say this. Here's what we're gonna do. So we'll when we meet in person or whatever, we'll pull up a picture of Anthony Hamilton, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll look at his scalp. We'll look at the hair on the scalp. We'll look at his beard. But he might have certain patches, like I said, but other parts where it's thin, that hair is fine and that hair is coarse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never
I always wanted to know that too. Like, why is that? Like, part of your eyebrows, your mustache, like everything on your face is different from your head. That's crazy.
So that comes more down to when we get into that, when we start getting into trichology and the skin and things like that. We'll talk more about that, but it's got a lot more to do with the skin and the systems in place of like blood and oxygen and nourishment to the follicles, stuff like that. So we'll get there, but that's why. And it's different types of hair. So you're talking about vellus hair and lanugo hair, which is like the eyebrows and things like that, which is like the hair that you might have right here on your knuckles and stuff like that. Right. But we'll get into that. All right. Coarse hair has the largest diameter, tends to be stronger than fine hair. Medium hair is the most common and is the standard to which other hair is compared. Okay, remember that. I'm actually gonna make that into a test question, a personal test question. So it probably won't be on the official exam. It'll probably be like low percentage where you see something like that. But that's what I like to call a real life percentage. That's something that you really need to know so you know how to deal with that type of hair, especially when you're doing like chemicals. It pays to know coarse hair, dense hair, fine hair, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because that tells you the strength of the chemical that can be used. Okay. But like I said, we'll talk more about all that stuff. All right. Fine hair has the smallest diameter and is generally more fragile, easier to process, and more susceptible to damage from chemical services than coarse or medium hair. Some fine or very fine hair does not possess a medulla, which helps to account for the smaller diameter of the strand. All right. And lastly, you have wiry hair, right? Whether coarse, medium, or fine, has a hard, glassy finish because the cuticle scales lie flat against the hair shaft. It usually takes longer to give this type of hair a chemical service because it's not absorbing the chemical as fast as some of the other types of hair. And one more thing, testing for hair texture. Hair texture can be determined by feeling a single strand of dry hair between the fingers. Hold the strand securely with one hand while rolling it between the thumb and forefinger of the other hand. With practice, you will be able to feel the difference between coarse, medium, and fine hair textures. Now, a quick word about that. A lot of times when somebody is testing a hair strand, they usually think like somebody with long hair. They tend to think females, but I do it as well. Like this don't seem like a lot of hair, but if it's enough to grab, if I can grab this and basically I'm trying to give you an example of something. I'll show you off the record. When I show you, you'll understand. But basically, you're taking a strand of hair, and if the direction of the hair goes up, you're gonna take your finger and your thumb, and you're gonna push down because you're trying to see how much resistance that you get. Right? Okay. Just like this is easier. Like my goatee, right?
Yeah.
All right. So when I fully pull when I extend the hair right here, it comes down to here. Okay. Naturally, the hair grows outward and down. So I'm going to take my thumb and my forefinger and see how much resistance I get when I move upwards in the opposite direction of where the hair strand is growing, right? Now, what that means is I'm testing to see if my hair is coarse, medium, fine, right? So while right here, I have a lot of density, my hair, my goatee is actually pretty coarse. So let's say if I was to put a chemical on it, it would process kind of fast versus something that's wiry or fine. It doesn't process as fast because it's not absorbing that chemical. So yeah. So we'll talk more probably next Tuesday about learning about hair porosity, elasticity. We'll compound on what we talked about today about texture and all that stuff.
Okay. I would say during any time this week you want me to come by the school?
Nah, actually, no, you don't have to. We'll be virtual because, well, first of all, it's Christmas week.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, so it ain't, and I'm actually going to be in Spartanburg at the shop, but we'll actually talk more about that. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I was about to say, so far today, just to go over to let you know, what I written down so far that I stopped driving. I got before handling with chemicals to have a consultation with the customer before doing chemical services. Scalp and face analysis. You have to part the hair, the check for cuts, warts, etc., and then take at least 2 to 3 minutes before each service. And hair analysis and texture is the degree of coarse of the hair, strain, and coarse is the largest. And is it the largest diameter? Or is it measured by diameter?
Diameter. Yep.
All right. And medium is most common, and the smallest the fine is the smallest diameter, easiest to process, but can be easily damaged as well. And wiry hair got a glassy finish, and it was something else she had said about that. And I had got as far as how to test that strand of hair by holding it with one hand and going against the direction that it's growing what's that last word you were saying?
But you just testing for the coarseness or the fineness of the hair.
Okay, testing for the coarseness or fineness. All right.
It's perfect, man. That'll do it.
Word.
Yep.
I'm check the video out as well today, cause I know you said you was gonna post the video.
Yeah, well, it's already posted. So basically, you can just go back to YouTube. You can go back to Facebook, all these platforms, and I'm trying to get Instagram together on here now because they just added Instagram as a platform too. But you can watch the replay. Yeah, you can watch the replay either way. You'll see yourself on there. You'll see yourself on there.
Word.
All right.
All right.
All right, man. I'll see you soon.
Yes, sir.
Yep.